Welcome back to the Two Dudes in a Beard podcast. I believe episode number 8. We'll start with our bets and predictions from last week. We had the same predictions of last week, so we both went 4-3. And surprisingly, we both went 3-1, breaking my undefeated streak. But still 11-1. So overall, right now, I'm 21-29 on predictions. Improved massively. I'm still 21-11 on my bets. So boom, good start for that. Then Co's on 28 of 22 for predictions, still smacking me in that, and 17 of 15 on bets, above the breaking point. That's all you want it. And so we'll move to the top games of week number 9. Start with the Penn State and the Buckeyes. Penn State got smoked in the second half, was up, and they were down by 20. We had money on this game, so that was interesting. JT Tumaloa. Sorry, I'm calling JT, but this was his breakout game. 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries at pick 6, ultimately leading the Buckeyes to the 44-31 victory over top 15 Penn State. I haven't brought up Marvin Harrison Jr. whatsoever. He's been crazy this year, but probably been the best wide receiver in the country. He showed off with a 10 reception and a 185-yard game versus the Nittany Lions. They got smacked, and I'm not surprised. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so I got 2 things on this game. One, I want to comment, like you said, as you said, JT, which is what I'll refer to him as well, because there's no way I can pronounce his last name. That dude played fucking amazing. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Lights out defensive performance. Second thing, Penn State played really good in the first half, and they played not so good in the second half. So they got to figure out how to finish games.
Thing about Penn State, they were actually up in the fourth quarter. And then JT was like, no. I believe he had a forced fumble as well in that pick 6 that ultimately put the dagger in. Credit to the former 5-star, even though he hasn't really done much at Ohio State, but he'll probably start going crazy now. And now everyone knows his name. We'll move to the most shocking game of the weekend. Kansas State smacking the living crap out of Oklahoma State 48-0. Oklahoma State now, fun fact, Oklahoma State now holds the worst loss by, or the worst, hold the record for the worst loss by a top 10 team in college football history. An absolute disgraceful performance against a banged up Kansas State team that didn't have their starting quarterback. But even though Will Howard didn't even look like a backup quarterback, he threw for 4 touchdowns and 296 yards. And once again, I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I'm saying it again. Deuce Vaughn is the best running back in the Big 12.
Yeah, Howard looked really good, and honestly, I mean, this was just a straight-up ass whipping. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean, there was no answer of any sort on the other side. Kansas State played great, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play next week, or this Saturday.
How does Oklahoma State even overcome this? Losing 48-0 as a top 10 team has to be very heartbreaking. If I could talk there. I don't know how you overcome it, but they have to do it soon.
Yeah, I mean, they got to rally the troops. They got to get shit right in the locker room and just make sure that everybody's okay. And, I mean, the main thing is morale, right? Like, after taking an ass whipping like that, morale is not good. So they got to get their morale figured out. And then after that, they got to get themselves, get their head screwed on straight and get going in the right direction.
Both teams were not healthy in that game. They need to get healthy, fix their morale. And now we'll move to. We also put the over on this game. It barely happened. Thank God it didn't. Louisville and Wake Forest. Wake came in Louisville, came out with a big loss. Louisville beat them 48-21. Louisville went on a 35-0 run during the third quarter. While the defense caused 6 turnovers in the third quarter, they had 8 total turnovers in the game. Wake was exposed massively. This was a great defensive performance by the Cardinals. I haven't seen this in a minute. Good job, Louisville.
Yeah, for one, I can't believe that I just heard you say "good job, Louisville." But for two, yeah, Louisville is kind of in the same boat as what I was talking about earlier. They are not Louisville. Sorry, Wake Forest. They've got to finish games. First half they were good. Second half not so good. So I mean, they've just got to finish the game.
You can't just allow a team that's not even good to go on. Louisville did play great though. How do you can't let a team that's not good cause 8 turnovers in a game, go on a 35-0 run, and let's Tayon Evans all right. You can't let him go crazy. He's their Louisville's running back. He's good, but you can't let him just go expose you on every play. Because I feel like this is what happened when I was watching that game.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying earlier, the amount of turnovers in that game, especially in the third, I think it was the third quarter, right?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yep, that was dumb. I mean, there's no excuse for that, and no way you can win a game whenever you're playing like that.
If I'm thinking right, it was 3 picks and 3 fumbles. I'm pretty sure 5 of those mistakes were Hartman's fault. I'm not saying Hartman's bad at all. It's just that one game. I'm expecting Hartman to come out and play great this weekend, though. You ready to talk about your Ole Miss? All right, we got Ole Miss and Texas A&M. I'll let you start with this one.
All right, yeah, I'll start it off. So we got number 15, Ole Miss, A&M. Obviously, Ole Miss pulled out a victory. I was hoping for a little bit more, a little extra. A&M played good. I think that they have some things to fix on their defense, but Ole Miss is the top offensive team to come up against. I mean, in my opinion, A&M and Ole Miss, that's 2 good SEC teams fighting it out in the trenches. I think we got the expected result.
I wouldn't bring up there's all the A&M trouble in the locker room right now, but I'll say Jackson Dart played pretty well. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but we all know who's going to steal the show in this game. Quinshawn Judkins, whatever you call him, he stole the show. Jimbo is also he's on his last slim as the Aggies coach now. If they struggle with any more games or like struggle to win the rest of the season, I know that that's a lot. 84 million buyouts a lot, but knowing A&M, they could, if they really wanted to, find the money.
Oh, there's no doubt. And I mean, I guess first I'll comment on the Jumpkins. To be at his class, so young and so talented, I foresee great things in Ole Miss's future if he stays there, which I really hope he does as an Ole Miss fan. But the second thing, looking at the A&M coach's contract, I don't know, man. I mean, I think that they'll stick with him given his past, but I don't know for how long. But I don't think they're going to fire him midseason. I think if they fire him, it'll be at the end of the year. They'll take they'll take the offseason to figure it out and kind of go from there.
There's just so much controversy in that locker room. Like he's already suspending like all their that's number 1 recruiting class or whatever. But he suspended a bunch of 5 stars. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know for what, so I'm not bringing it up. But he did suspend a lot of players, freshmen more particularly. But we won't get into that. This freshman stuff. And now we'll move on to another game that we put money on. It was number 7, TCU and West Virginia. I don't think the game would even be closer than this, but TCU has always struggled in Morgantown, and they actually only won by 10. Duggan had 16 of 28 for 341 and 3 touchdowns while injured. He hurt himself during that game. Now, here's some interesting stuff. This is the first time TCU started the season 8-0 since 2015. They were averaging 48.9 points per game during those 8 games. They're currently averaging 44.3. While looking, I found this also interesting. They are allowing 27.3 points per game this season. They allowed 24.5 in those first 8 games in 2015. Very similar, off by a few points on each side. Are we going to see a repeat? That season, I believe, finished 12-2 or 11-2. Will they drop another game? Will they drop a game? We'll wait and see.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge TCU fan, but I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them go undefeated and just take it. As far as the Big 12 is concerned, but I work with a lot of people that live in Morgantown, a lot of West Virginia fans. I know that fan base is pretty fucking insane. And to go into there in Morgantown and win in that hostile environment, that's no easy feat. So credit to the Horned Frogs.
And we will move to the college football news. Before we get to the playoff rankings, we'll probably spend a lot of time on that. We'll talk about Brian Harsin, who was finally fired at Auburn. According to many people, Lane Kiffin's the number 1 candidate. I don't know how true that is. I personally think he stays at Ole Miss. But Harsin has been let go after many coaching staff and player problems. Many people have left. Many players have left into the transfer portal already. Auburn fans can finally rejoice as they finally have the chance to go get a coach that knows what they're doing. He had a 9-12 record at Auburn, but he had a 69-19 record of Boise State. Him and many other coaches in the past have figured out the SEC is not easy. You cannot win in the SEC. It's much easier to win in different conferences. But with that being said, Mr. Cadillac Williams, Auburn's former, I don't remember what he was. He was a star, though, in college. You remember Mr. Caddy Williams.
Running back.
Oh, yeah, running back. Yep. What do you think about him becoming the intern? I hear there's a lot of backing behind him now. Everyone loves him down there, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he's a hometown favorite. I mean, the only other coach that I know of that Auburn would make a move on, and especially a coach that they would spend big money on, would be Gene Orgeron.
Deion Sanders, there's rumors of that one too. Oh, surprise, right?
That is very true. I don't know that Auburn would go down that route, but we will see.
We can talk about Deion Sanders as much as we want to. I have no doubts he'd be a great college Power 5 coach. It's crazy because he was fired literally an hour after the Mississippi State AD John Cohen became the new Auburn one. I found that funny because it's like the other AD was like they just didn't even bother to fire him, and the new one came in and was like, bye-bye. I found that funny.
Didn't waste any time, that's for sure.
He knows what he's doing. Anyways, now we'll get to the fun part, the college football rankings. I said it on Twitter I was not going to overreact, but after reading it more and more, I'm going to overreact. We'll start with TCU and Bama. The commissioner chair said we're looking for a balanced team, offense and defense. TCU have gotten behind in some games, but they've been able to come back. Why? He's talking about balanced team. TCU is right up there with the best balanced teams in the country. They have a great secondary, great defense, and a great attacking offense. I don't know what they mean by maybe they have a different definition of balanced team, but in my words, that's bullcrap.
Yeah, so a couple of comments on my end. If I was a TCU fan, which I'm most certainly not, and I used to live in Fort Worth, so I know a lot of TCU fans, but I would be fucking pissed. Um, my second comment is that Texas does not belong on this board. Texas being at number 24 is, in my opinion, stupid. I think that UCF should probably be 24, Kentucky 25. Um, Other than that, I mean, I think LSU is too high, and I mean, I went to LSU, so it's not like I'm shitting on LSU because I don't like them. I'm definitely a fan, but I think the LSU at 10 is too high, and I also think Ole Miss at 11 is too high. So I mean, yeah, I've got a lot of problems with this one.
The talk to me if I will be on the screen while we're talking about this. But number one, I don't like Clemson being at number 4. I'll discuss why I don't like Clemson at number 4 when we do our top 5. I think TCU should be a top 5. I'll discuss that later. But I believe Oregon and USC are perfect where they are. As people say on Twitter, I don't particularly agree with it, even though I'm an SEC fan. They say LSU and Ole Miss is at 10-11 for Alabama. I think most SEC fans know what I'm talking about there. But I believe Kansas State and Illinois need to go up a little bit. I believe they should be above UCLA and probably above Ole Miss. Okay, Illinois has proved to be one of the best teams in the country. I don't know why they're still at number 16. But other than that, I believe Tulane is legit perfect where they are. And the group of 5 is perfect. Tulane, 19, UCF, as Co said, should be 24. I would say they're at 24 as well. My number 25 team should be not Kentucky or Texas. Whoever they decide to put over that at 25 will be fine. I just don't agree with Texas being top 25. There's a lot to go there.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement on pretty much everything. I mean, the only thing that I would say is that I think Michigan should be lower. Other than that, that's really all I got. But I mean, we'll see if I'm proven right or wrong on that here. What is it, next week?
The big game. I don't know when that is particularly, but it's soon. That's all I know. The top 5 play each other in a few weeks, or Tennessee, Georgia play tomorrow, but Michigan, Ohio State plays soon. That'll be all fixed out. So, well, we're not worried about that. It's only the first one as well, so nothing too much to overreact. But in a few weeks, if it was something like this, we'd overreact. Because this one's garbage. Awful ranking. If I had to make that 25, it would be nothing like this. Other than that, you ready to move to talk some NFL trades?
Yeah, let's do it. Something unusual for us. We normally don't talk NFL, so let's roll.
Since it was the trade deadline, I'd figure we'd talk a little bit of NFL trades. Since the trade deadline was on, I believe, Thursday or Wednesday. One of those days. So we both picked out a trade that we were found interested in. I said my most interesting trade was Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins. Bradley Chubb and a 5th to the Dolphins for a first, a 4th, and Chase Edmonds a running back. Are the Dolphins making a playoff push? Got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle to sure, we can say that. I like this for the Broncos. They really didn't have a running back after Javonte Williams got hurt earlier in the season. So I believe Chase Edmonds will be a great fit there. They just obviously they traded Bradley Chubb, so that's not good. But I like what they got in return for Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's good for the future of the Broncos. So for my trade, I'm looking at the Vikings and tight end TJ Hawkinson in exchange for some draft picks. Plus the Vikings giving up a couple of draft picks in the future, later round draft picks, 4th round, and possibly a conditional 4th round later on. Hawkinson, I think, is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I know this year his statistics don't say that necessarily, but based off previous years. And I mean, looking at his skill set, he definitely has the talent. I think put in a better situation, a situation he's more comfortable in, he'll be able to produce better statistics and therefore better points.
More on this one. The Vikings offense now has Kirk Cousins. I mean, they would love better. Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and now Hawkinson. That's a good offense.
Yeah, that's a pretty good team.
Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's played good this year, so I can't really bash him. Hawkinson leads the league in yards after a catch among tight ends. The Vikings tight end was ranked last in the league previously. Even I love Irv Smith Jr. I think he's out for the year. That's why they tried to make this trade, obviously. And I love this trade. Vikings have had a great start to the year. 6-1, 5-1, where I don't know what week we're in called in NFL. But they've only lost like 1 or 2 games. So I love the trade for the Vikings. The Lions, on the other hand, it's the Lions, so what can we expect? And then some notable trades that we won't talk about, but Calvin Ridley into the Jags, Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins, Chase Claypool to the Bears. Those are all right trades. We won't talk about them, but they could make impacts. But now, it's time for the second funnest part of this, the predictions of week number 10 of college football. See, we don't talk about NFL long, so we'll move on. Predictions, Tom. You want to start with this one because you LSU?
Yes, I will. Alabama coming into Baton Rouge to play LSU, number 6 versus number 10. I will go with LSU taking the victory. Alabama's had a little bit of trouble at home, or sorry, not at home, on the road. They lost to Tennessee. They had some struggles against some other teams. So I'm saying go Tigers.
As my predictions are scuffed this year, LSU has only won one game against Bama since 2012. That was with Joe Barrow in 2019, in case you didn't know that. Bama so far is the 4th highest scoring team with 43.1 points per game, while LSU allows 21.1 points per game. On the other hand, LSU scores 35.1 a game, while Bama allows 17 a game. I have slight confidence in LSU. I was very confident in picking LSU against Ole Miss. It worked out well for me. But a last-second thought, I'm going with LSU. Look here, I like upsets. Okay, this was one that I was thinking about this one in my head all week long. I like upsets. I've said many times. I was normally gonna go for Alabama, but I want to see upsets this weekend, so I'm going with LSU.
Right on. Go
that's
Tigers.
a curveball. I curveball with that one. Okay, we'll move to the game of the week. Top three matchup in Athens. Georgia's favored by 8. Number 1 Tennessee at number 3 Georgia. Georgia has won the last 5 meetings between them and the Vols. All of them have been in pretty dominant fashion, above 21 points. But we haven't seen a Tennessee team like this in 20 years. I don't know. They just haven't been very good lately, but now they just came out of nowhere. Tennessee averages the most points in the country, 49.4. But Georgia allows 10.5 points per game. I've seen more weakness out of Georgia's defense than I have Tennessee's offense. So I'm going with the Vols. I hate saying it. I got Tennessee winning this game. Georgia's back history of high scoring opponents is not good as well. So give me Tennessee.
Yeah, so I know Athens is going to be a very hostile environment, but like you said, Georgia's history against high-power offenses is not very good. I say go Vols.
Weird for us to say, huh? Anyways. Yeah. God, I hate saying go Vols, but I'd rather see them win it than Georgia. I don't want to see Georgia win again. Anyways, we'll go to the ACC for a few games. First, we got number 21 Wake Forest at number 22 NC State. Wake has won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Wolfpack. I am picking Wake to recover from that beating in Louisville to win this game, but keep an eye on freshman quarterback MJ Morris. He had a great game last week versus Virginia Tech, but I'm rocking with Wake Forest.
So I don't keep up with this conference very much, so I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. But based off the stats and everybody's record, I'm going to go with Wake Forest.
NC State's also they lost their quarterback for the year. That's why MJ Morris, the freshman's in there. But he played. He's a good quarterback, so keep an eye on him. We'll move to South Bend, where Clemson, number 4 Clemson, takes on the Fighting Irish. The Fighting Irish absolutely smacked Syracuse last week without Schrader. They've split the last 2 meetings. Notre Dame won the last one in South Bend, but Clemson won the ACC championship during the COVID year. One team has looked way better than the other. I'm going with Clemson for this one, but I want you guys to keep an eye on Notre Dame safety. I believe he's also from Northwestern. He transferred from Northwestern. Brandon Joseph, he played great last week. So he could cause some drama for whichever quarterback Clemson gets out there. So probably DJ Ugalea. But I'm going with Clemson.
So I have a bone to pick with Notre Dame. I believe the conference situation is not fair. I don't think that should be allowed, but that's neither here nor there. But either way, I'm not picking Notre Dame. Go Clemson.
Yeah, I feel like I've never picked for Notre Dame. Even if they could win this game, sure. I don't know how they're only 4 point. Maybe we should bet on these games. Anyways, we got Clemson. They're pretty simple up. Everyone picks Clemson for this game. We're moving to Pittsburgh for number 20 Syracuse at Pitt. Both of these teams got smacked last week. Syracuse starter Garrett Schrader did not play. He got injured last week, so I don't know if he's playing or not. But if he's not, Pittsburgh has to take advantage of that. The Orange offense was not good versus Notre Dame at all. In hopes Schrader plays, I'm picking the Orange, even though I don't. He maybe is, maybe he's not. I haven't seen anything. So I'm going with Syracuse, though.
I'm going with the Orange as well, even if Schrader doesn't play. From what I've seen, their defense is playing pretty stout, and Pittsburgh's offense, I mean, it's not up to par for sure. So I think one way or the other, Syracuse wins. If Schrader plays, Syracuse dominates.
And now we'll move to the military games. We'll have a couple of those during this, I guess, next with the Army and Navy route. Anyways, Air Force at Army. You'll start seeing more games like this. Not military games, but some cool little random games. So let's talk about some Air Force Army. Army has won 4 of the last 5 meetings against Air Force. Most of these military games, Army, Navy, Air Force, Army, they're all usually way under. I would personally smash the under if I didn't have my other bets already. It's going to be one of those gritty games where points will be tough to come by. But I have liked what I've seen from Air Force this season. So I will go with Air Force.
All right, yeah, I'll back up what you said on the military games, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force. Scoring is low, defense is hard. They hit hard and all that good stuff. Good, slow football. I'm going to go with Army, and I'm only doing that because my uncle Donnie, he was an Army Ranger in Vietnam. So there you go, Uncle. Go Air Force. Or sorry, go Army. I fucked that up.
Yeah, he meant go Army. They're not bashing for that.
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't be fun if we didn't slip on the Army games or military games. Anyways, we'll move to the Big 12 for the final game that we're going to predict on this week. Number 24, Texas. Some reason they're favored at number 13, Kansas State. What did I say for this game? Kansas State hasn't beat Texas since October 22nd, 2016. Only games were double-digit losses. The Wildcats are back at home. They had the best running back in Big 12. They have all momentum after smoking the Oklahoma State Cowboys, top 10 team, 48-0. There's no reason for me not to pick them. I got Kansas State.
Absolutely. I think the spread is one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen, and you'll see it later on in my bets. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're playing in Manhattan. I mean, Kansas State just came off of a fucking ass whipping that they delivered. At Kansas State all the way. It's a no-brainer.
And all right, guys, let's make some money. We'll start with mine for the week. I have been 11-1 in my last 3 weeks. So let's get it. I got my first one is James Madison at Louisville. I got their spread, their over under is 52.5. You'll see it over under for me a lot. So what I've seen, both teams can score. I didn't think Louisville was going to score a 48 on Wake Forest. And I don't think their defense is that good. They won't repeat, even though they have some great defensive players. So I think over 52.5 is great. Next one is Houston plus 3. I don't know why they're favorite or not favored over SMU. Clayton Tune's a great quarterback. I believe he's probably the best one in the American. Then I got Liberty and Arkansas. My game, the reason I compared these two, I compared these games to BYU because they basically played each other back to back. I believe Liberty scored 40 and Arkansas scored a 40. So that's 80. And then over under is 63. And it's went down the last few days as well. So give me Liberty, Arkansas over 63. And we'll head to the CUSA for UTSA and UAB. These are two of the more high-scoring offenses in the Conference USA. And the over-under being only 52 makes me say, smash the over. So I got JMU Louisville over 52.5, Houston plus 3, Liberty Arkansas over 63, and UTSA and UAB over 52. What you got?
All right, on my end, my first bet of the day, I'm going Tennessee getting 8.5. Honestly, I think Tennessee's going to win that game. I expect them to go into Athens and stomp a mud hole in Georgia's ass. But still going to take the points. So Tennessee getting 8.5. I'm going to take the LSU game against Alabama, getting 13 points. I don't know that they're going to win that game. I hope and I think that they will, but at the very least, I think they'll cover that 13-point spread. I'm going to take TCU giving up 8.5. I expected that spread to be significantly different in the other direction as far as them giving up more. So I think that's a good bet. And then I'm definitely taking Kansas State getting 2.5. I think the fact that they're getting points at all is obviously just stupid. They should be giving up points, not getting points.
Sometimes it seems Vegas wants to give us money, right? That's what some of these spreads remind me of. All right, we'll end off with our top 5. As we discussed in the college football playoff rankings in the earlier of the episode. I said I didn't like Clemson being top 4. Yeah, that's still a thing. For my top 5, I have Tennessee. Why even bother to even giving a reason? They're number one for a reason. I got Ohio State. Cole doesn't agree with me on this one. But I believe they have showed less weakness. Because you can't let Kent State and Mizzou score 22 on you. Then I said Georgia. Georgia's better than TCU. I have TCU number 4. They have a great team, great offense, defense. But they also have a better resume than Clemson and Michigan. Then I said I have Michigan above Bama until they lose. And I think that will happen versus Ohio State. So I also go ahead and put Bama back number 5 when that happens. Other than that, Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, TCU, Michigan. What do you got?
All right, so I agree with you. Tennessee number 1. I'm carrying Georgia number 2, Ohio State number 3. So those are just flip flopped. I'm very curious and anxious to see what Ohio State is going to do against Michigan. I think if they win that game, and especially if they win it decidedly, that will cement their spot at number 2. And then obviously the Tennessee-Georgia game will kind of determine how that goes from there. I actually have Alabama at number 3. I think that they are not 3, number 4. I think that they're the better team than TCU, although I think TCU is right there knocking on the door, so I have them at number 5.
See, guys, we don't really like Clemson here.
No, we most certainly do not.
Only reason I don't really like Clemson. So you know how they had great wins over, or the ranked wins over who was it? Wake, NC State, and Syracuse. All 3 of those teams lost last week. No. No.
I could not agree more.
Look here, Clemson has a great team. Don't get it wrong. I just think there's more teams better than them. Even though they will probably win the ACC, and they will probably get into playoff, but I just don't think they're top 5. With that being said, go UNC in the ACC championship game, because there's no way Clemson loses again, unless Louisville pulls off a God miracle. You know what? Go Cards. Oh my God, I said it twice.
No, jeez. You're going to have to go take a bath in holy water or something.
Oh. Anything else you got to say?
No, dude, that's it. Go Tigers.
All right, guys. Those are our predictions and bets for the week. Make sure you guys subscribe and like us on YouTube and follow us on Spotify. We hope you guys have another great college football Saturday, and we hope for some upsets. Goodbye, everyone.